All right, I'm going to tell y'all why one of my students' parents just bought me an emissions test for my car. My wife says, hey, will you go get the emissions test done on the car? And I'm like, absolutely. I wake up this morning and I go to my usual spot. For some reason, it's closed down. I have my phone, so I have to go back to the house and get my phone and find another spot. I go to the next spot. There's like 10 cars in line. I wait for about 15 minutes. The line does not budge. I was like, oh, I don't have time for this. I go to the next spot. Y'all, I can't make this up. His machine is down. I'm like, oh my goodness, where am I going to go now? I get on like Google or Apple Maps. I don't even know which one. I go to the next spot. No place around. I end up at a church. No lie. At this point, I don't even know where I am anymore. So I start driving home and I'm like, I'll deal with this tomorrow. And then I see a flag like, hey, we do emissions tests. And I'm like, oh, this is awesome. And the guy's like, hey, what do you want? Yeah, I want an emissions test. And he's like, okay, hold on a minute. So he goes inside. About 10 minutes later, he comes out and he starts doing all the stuff. I get out of the car and I'm standing there. And it's also like right at this gas station. And this lady pulls up. Y'all, no lie, she's probably about 80 years old. She pulls up in this big old hoopty cart. And this guy, he's pumping gas and he had just finished and he starts to back up and it looks like he's gonna back up into her and she lays on the horn like, hey, don't hit me. Y'all, it just set this guy off. He got really, really mad. He started screaming at her and he waved around and you know what, like, lady, I'm really mad at you. I'm gonna just show you that you shouldn't be honking at me kind of situation. And then he peels out. I mean, like, I was actually kind of impressed at how he peeled out without hitting anything. I'm thinking, what in the world is going on? Like, the stars are not aligned for me to get this emissions test. Lo and behold, the guy comes out and he gives me the little paper, and guess what? I passed. I'm so excited. He's like, that'll be $18. And I'm like, oh, that's awesome. That's $2 less than all the other places I'd been looking at. And I hand him my credit card, and he looks at me and he's like, cash only. Now, y'all, I know some people live off the grid. I'm just the opposite. Like, I never have cash. So, of course, without thinking, I'm like, do you take Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal? And he looks at me like, seriously? And I'm like, yeah. What do I do? Am I going to have to call my wife? And she's going to have to bring the kids. And then it hits me. A parent had given me $20 for Christmas. And I was like, hold on a minute. I start digging around the purse, and he's like, mansplaining it like, ma'am, you should always have cash with you. You know, you should always carry cash for situations like this. I'm like, okay, dude, hold on. I got cash. I give him the $20, and he's like, have a good day. And he walks off, and I'm like, hey, hold up. Wait a minute. He's like, what? I was like, you owe me $2. He's like, oh, yeah, hold on. So he goes and he gives me my $2. So to the parent who gave me $20, thank you. You bought me an emissions test, and I still have some money left over to maybe get a candy bar and a Coke.